Hi guys, it's me John, yes, and I'm back again for another video. This is actually a response actually. Quite a few people have made a few of their own responses to this video, and this is kind of my response to those people I've responded to. I think it was Timey and Simon, the Ansys or Silverbolt, who did the main videos, and people kind of responded from them. But I'm going to respond from Tony Fussell, it's the Sound of SG-1, because he's the more recent one of uploading a video. Yeah, this whole video is going to be talking about 9/11.
I spoke to you.
Now, before I get into that, I'd just like to give a little bit of insight on what I think of 9/11. Now, if you've been on Facebook within the last hour or 45 minutes or something like that, you probably would have seen I put up a status on my status wishing all the very best to those families that were affected with the 9/11 tragedy, people who were the families that lost loved ones, rescuers, and people that worked in the World Trade Centers, and people that was actually just bartenders or civilians on the ground when the buildings came down. Sorry. It was the most tragic, devastating incident that could ever have happened, and I'm sad to say, since that day, I've seen the Asian community in a different way. I'll say it in that way, say a bit more. I can't say it any other way because I'll probably get taken off YouTube. But I've seen the Asian community primarily, you know what I mean. I don't want to have to really go into explain myself. You know who I'm on about. That kind of group of people. I haven't really, you know, I've never been a racist person, but since that tragedy, and also 7/7 in London, I've seen them in a completely different light, and I don't like seeing people. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and I don't like seeing people in a different light. We're all human. We're all flesh and blood. We're all same. No, not all same genes, but you know, we're human. We're all human, and there's no real need to really hate each other, you know. But anyway, it's a different story. But 9/11 was one of the most tragic, devastating incidents that could have ever happened, or that has happened in history, as well as the 7/7 bombings, which was a very similar problem. It was similar in the way that it was a suicide bombing. Well, actually, it was different because it wasn't a suicide bombing. That happened to the World Trade Centers. That was obviously two planes going into the World Trade Centers. A plane crash landed in a field that was actually apparently on collision course for the White House, and also one that hit the Pentagon. So there was 4 planes in total, and it was, and how these people can serve a god or these people and do what they do. It's kind of sickening that these people are human at the end of the day, and they're destroying themselves and destroying many others, because this has affected America in a big way. Security since that tragic day has got massive. There is literally all the American airports in all of them in America, including here now, due to our security being put up as well. There's been a lot of, you know, armed police, a lot of drug and bomb dogs, you know, bomb dogs that have been in airports sniffing out any weird happenings, and also new development in scanning technology, which is now coming. I think is actually out, which a lot of people have mixed feelings about, but it might actually help in the future. It's just an awful thing, and all I can say is on this front is that my feelings So my thoughts and prayers go out to those who were affected. It's just an awful, I mean, I just can't get my head round. I mean, it's 10 years ago today. It's just amazing of how fast it's gone by. Nobody's forgotten about it. It's been every single year. There's been documentaries and shows on TV ever since the day since it happened, trying to uncover new evidence, new things that has been brought to light. Now on YouTube and on the net alike, there are some conspiracy theories about 9/11, but I won't go into it because people don't want to talk about conspiracy. But all I'm going to say is that in some cases I do agree with some of the conspiracy theories, mainly due to the guy who owned the World Trade Centers, and also some sort of compound that was found on the bridge. In the Golden Gate Bridge in New York, that was covered in soot due to the debris and smoke, and some scientists took some stuff away, took a sample of the dust away for analysis and found some sort of really metal corrosive compound within it. I don't know if that's true, but they say that maybe the structure, the building structure could have been weakened with some sort of compound, in order for it to come down in the way it did, because them buildings came down very cleanly, and apparently a few survivors, apparently a lot of people around there had mini explosions as they came down. Now some people thought, well, yeah, of course there's going to be explosions as the building comes down, because obviously there would have been, boilers, there would have been all sorts of kind of like heating systems and electrical stuff which would explode in fires and anything like that, but it was kind of a bit iffy. But I'm not going to go into that. It's all about memorial. It's mourning the deaths of those people who lost their lives. But now getting to the question that was asked: where were you, or where was I when that happened? Funnily enough, on both 9/11 and 7/7, I was at school. I was thinking either second or last year at secondary school. I would have been in 2001. I'd have been 11 or 12 when it happened. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know, there was no news on, no telly on, because obviously I was in class doing our work. I can't remember what class I was in. And I think either a pupil had come to, either a pupil knocked on our classroom door, or it was a teacher, and they said apparently everybody had to gather at the hall, the main hall in the school, because something really, really important had to be seen, and we didn't know, something tragic had happened. That's all we were told. So yeah, we get to the hall and we're all sat down. We're all sat in our class, in order of class and everything. And then there was this big massive projector screen and projector hooked up to a laptop. What was on I think News 24/7 or BBC News 24 or something like that. And it was showing all the coverage. And at this point, the first Trade Center had been hit. The second one had yet to be hit. At that point, they were saying that the Pentagon had been hit. And yeah, and I couldn't believe my eyes of what I saw and what was in front of me, watching it all unfold. Like I said, the first building had been struck, one of the World Trade Center. And I was just watching it and I was like, what's happened? Because at this point we didn't know what happened, and then it was coming up saying a plane just struck one of the World Trade Centers, and then about 10 minutes later or something like that when they were talking, a second one went and hit. I saw that plainly live hit, and I felt sick. I was like, oh, what's gone on? I mean, the first plane had hit, we thought it could have been like a technical difficulty. you know, the plane couldn't get away from the building in time and it hit. But then obviously the second one hit and you knew something not right here. Then was getting news that plane had crashed in a field. We're getting news that obviously Pentagon had been hit. And oh, it was horrible. It was just horrible watching it unfold, and all those people that were crushed as the buildings came down. We was in the hall for a good few hours watching it, and I looked around everybody. I mean, I was just near tearing. I was just about nearly crying about it, and because I don't like suffering. I don't like people being suffering in horrible ways. I don't like. I mean, New York is one of the best cities in my opinion. You know, it's always been a dream of mine to go to New York City. It was a dream of mine to visit the World Trade Centers and Empire State Building and all that. And then seeing that happening and seeing, you know, one of the main spectacles of New York destroyed in an instant, it hurt me because you know, because I feel a lot about New York City. I've always wanted to go to New York City. I've always wanted to visit, obviously. Never have, but hopefully in the future I could always go. But now it was just horrible. It was really, really horrible to see it happen. And I was just looking around the room, the hall, and not a dry eye in sight. All the teachers was in awe, faces in, you know, heads in hands. A lot of people were crying. A lot of pupils were holding one another. You know, lasses and you know, boyfriend and girlfriends and stuff like that. It was just an unreal. You know, I never had a full school of pupils in one hall. It been so quiet in my life. It grasped attention so well. And then I was actually 7/7 is another thing. I'll make a memorial when that comes around, you know, again. But yeah, it was the same with the 7/7 bombings. I was at school when that happened, and my teacher was actually his daughter, my RT teacher. His daughter was actually in London, and apparently she had to get one of the tube trains. But luckily, she was alright. I think she either got an earlier one than the one that got, you know, attacked or blown up, or she wasn't sure, it was delayed or something. But yeah, it's just horrible. How people can do this to other people is just beyond me. But I've been yammering on for too long now. My feelings about the whole thing is still raw. I mean, every time I hear about it, I can not help but think about it. I think the whole image of the day is going to be imprinted in millions and millions of people all over the world's minds. I mean, how humans can do this to others, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's just baffling, really baffling. And I'm just gonna end on this note and say again, my thoughts and prayers go out to those people who were affected. I wish those families the best of luck for the future. I very doubt they'll be watching this, but no, I wish them all the very best for the future. And I hope they will keep their memories in their minds, keep them alive in memory. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching, people, and this is Nosy out. And just to let you know, I will be uploading a video either tomorrow or Tuesday from a collection update. You know, choose who won and what figure is going to get reviewed, and you know, etc. So thank you very much, and I'll be back tomorrow or Tuesday. Thank you. Bye.
I spoke to you an hour ago. to say what's on my mind, but you already know. I tried to tell you, but there were no words I could find.